incurable disease that kills deer and elk forced the Pennsylvania Game Commission to quarantine parts of 9 of the state's 67 counties, but inevitably it will spread. The Commission's director likened the disease to a blight that wiped out the state's chestnut trees a century ago. Chronic wasting disease reached Pennsylvania in 2012, and it has entered 23 states and 2 provinces of Canada. By cutting into herds, the disease will change the outdoors for hunters and the businesses that rely on hunting, which adds an estimated $1.4 billion to Pennsylvania's economy. Non-hunters, too, will notice the loss by seeing fewer deer on hikes or fewer elk on sightseeing trips to the county of the same name. The disease causes deer to drool, shake, look emaciated, lose coordination, and fall, but 18 to 24 months can pass before the deer show any of those symptoms. Hunters can find out if a deer they took was infected because the Commission will test the skulls of the deer harvested in any of the quarantined areas. Rules also prohibit hunters from using deer lures made from urine or feeding deer. If chronic wasting disease gets into the soil, it can persist for at least 15 years, and deer, of course, do crowd around each other on commercial deer farms. The disease was traced to deer farms in 3 of the 4 quarantined areas that the Commission has established. Pennsylvania has 860 deer farms with an estimated 23,000 captive deer. They're regulated by the State Department of Agriculture, but there's no way to test the live deer for chronic wasting disease. So far, there's no case of chronic wasting disease spreading to people, but recent studies of monkeys getting the disease after eating contaminated meat raises the threat. The U.S. Centers for Disease Control advises against eating contaminated deer or elk, and the Commission advises against eating any animal that appears ill. That doesn't mean hunters should stop taking deer. Because there's no vaccination or cure, killing deer is the only way to slow the spread of the disease, and the Commission has allowed hunters to take additional doe through a management program in the quarantine areas.